Good evening, everyone. My name is GODSPOWER IKECHUKWU John, and this is a resort, Nukumau. That was the name I gave it. So it was actually targeted at restoring the tradition of Igbo land. The masquerade culture is gradually fading away, by each passing season. So I thought I hope to bring back that culture with this result. So I have some of the pointers that influence my design aesthetic and form. I used a whole lot of motifs on my design and murals, wall patterns and stuff. I use a whole lot of them on my design. And then I also use a high roof, which is used identifiers. I use a very high roof. In terms of culture and lifestyle, that was fully explained or depicted at the main entrance gate, on the columns on the fence, and then most of my guest suites were arranged, having a courtyard in the middle. But in my design, I made a courtyard some sort of a pool, a swimming pool where people can, as many as possible, come together and have that communal feeling. While materials, I played around with clay. Most of them are clay, and then I used wood. And then spirituality. In terms of spirituality, the entrance gateway of a typical Igbo design indicates the status and gate and power of the family. But in my design, this was reflected in the entrance. And process and cost. In touching the roof, palm fronds and grasses were used. That's in a typical Igbo house. In my design locally, it can be seen, it can be sourced around. And typically, it were finished with clay. It was also very sustainable. But in my design, I played with clay and tiles. And the doors of the houses were also, heavily decorative arts. Carvings were also done to illustrate door paneling and I also made use of this. So I just literally picked and then translate it into my design. So these were images that influenced my design. The entrance gate. This is located in southeastern Nigeria. Then the Abariba, this is Abia State, and the columns, heavily decorated, carvings. And then we have Anambra State's traditional house that is with a high roof. While for the modern buildings, we have HBA Resort in Bali, Thailand, and then Zuri, Zanzibar in Tanzania. This particular one, the one in Thailand, I love the roof so much. I had to work with that. In Zanzibar, the units are so portable and so nice. So I just, I picked a thing or two from it. And for the Jao Camp Safari in Botswana, the interior was also very nice and cozy. So I just saw the three images that also influence my design. Now, concepts. I basically use a Mao as a masquerade, like concept. The formation, the floor layouts, the Mao formation. I had to call my uncle in the village. I could not travel. I was supposed to travel. I had to call him my uncle from the village and ask him a couple of questions. And then he gave me the formation. So the blue dots you're seeing around are called, the ones behind the very big red one are called IKECHUKWU. I don't know if you can see my pointer there. Just the image of the masquerade above the horn. That's the pupuru. They are not the masquerade itself. They are the ones protecting the masquerade. You see them with cane, flogging people and making sure people move, because it is believed that if one stands close to a masquerade and folds his hands or stands still, the masquerade could fall. So they are always around pushing and making sure people move around. So they are always moving around the masquerade. While the one in front of the red dot, the big red circle, it's called Onwa. That's the one that leads the way. So translating this formation, the one Pomo had made it the main entrance, while the big dot, which is the Mao itself. Actually, Mao is the big marks you see that they wear. That's the Mao itself. Not the Mao is the marks, the scary big marks they wear. That's what's called the Mao. While this other Pupuru, they are just around protecting the masquerade, the Mao itself. Now, the ones around are cane, like I said, going around the masquerade. So I just picked this formation. Now, if you look carefully, you will see there's a dot, like an arc going around. I created that. That's influenced my my museum design. So I just translated this into a form and I gave birth to my design. I will just go to the design quickly. Okay, I'll start with the site layout. So this is the site layout. I did a legend. The light blue is the farmland. You can see it. I used that to, I put that in between the guest suites, to give the feel, the village feel. And then the red dot there is the admin block. The blue one is the admin block. The red one is the museum, restaurant slash conference hall. So that is the curve I was talking about. I use that to achieve it. And then the red dot there is the car park, my car park, and then my get suits behind. So I, from the classes we took, zoning is key in Igbo architecture, vernacular architecture. And so in terms of hierarchy, so I just try to zone public, semi-public, and like that. So my private suits, my guest suits were taken far back. So just move to the next one. Okay, so this is the guest suite. These are individual units. I brought about 5 together to create a courtyard. So my courtyard, I use a swimming pool, so that everyone in its units can come out and people can, vibe together and relate together. So that was the reason for the pool in between. And then you can see there's a statue also there. This representing the shrine. So I just made it a statue. It's representing the shrine in the middle of the courtyard. And then this is the dining. Typically, in the typical Igbo home, they usually eat outside they usually eat outside. That's in the courtyard. The family come together and eat. So I represented this. I brought it outside at the side of each unit. And then, so this is an overview of the entrance, the admin, and the museum slash restaurant slash conference hall. Yeah. So I will explain more as I go. So this is the main entrance gate. The roof, it's a high roof. The gates itself, the main entrance gates. I use the marks, still, then, okay, the premises in front of the museum, more like an amphitheater where people come and, dance. So the fence, heavily decorated. I wanted whosoever that sees this to immediately know that, okay, it's a resort, and it has something to do with a masquerade. So I celebrated the entrance, the gates in particular. So this is the main entrance to the resort. And then, so this is in front of the amphitheater, in front of the museum. So we have the restaurants in the middle. And then we have the hall, the conference hall on the other end, on the right-hand side of this. And then the leopard we see there are just artwork. So, and this is a staff. So during my research, I realized that the typical Igbo design in the courtyard, there's usually a staff there, probably representing it could be the shrine of some sort. So I decided to celebrate the amphitheater. Go around. People can stay in the middle and dance or display whatever they want to do there. Okay, so this is another view, capturing the other side. One of the reasons why we have this so much painting on the walls, on the clay wall, I was trying to create an impression. The moment you enter the story, you start, joining the dots together. You start, it's self-explanatory. It tells and explains itself. So on the wall, you have the history of the Igbo community, the history of the Mao, how it started and how, so gradually it tells you the story before you go inside and see the amphitheater or see the museum itself. So that was one of the reasons for this. Okay, so this is the guest suite. I saw this window in one of the Demas's building, so I thought it was nice. The only difference is I separated it sort of so you can have a door or a window, whichever one is fine. So, and it's perfectly it's cross ventilated. It allows air to seep in and out. So since we are designing in the tropics, so heat and all that was taken care of. And also, I also play around with some of the moldings on the wall, some of the carving on the wall, which was synonymous to Igbo architecture. And then painting. So I twisted it a bit, and we still get the gist. And then by the side, just close to the dining, there's a statue there. Because of time, it's a lamp is supposed to hang at the pole. You notice it's holding a pole. A lamp is supposed to hang there, just to give that feel. So a lamp is supposed to hang there, and there's a marks at the other end of it. Okay. I also still use the heat proof, and I try to use. I also still remain and use the heat proof there also. Yeah. So this is another view. This is a unit, one unit. We have the swimming pool in the middle. We have the shrine close to the swimming pool. So this is a view from the dining. So I just wanted the renders to do the explanation. So we've seen the renders and you understand what each space is about. Okay. So this is a view. I wanted to capture the skyline, of that structure behind. So that is the museum where we have the restaurant also. So that is you can see the shrine there, the statue, representing the shrine there. So this is another view of a particular unit, and then this is a back view of the theater. Because of time constraints, actually under this is supposed to be open so that people can go from behind. So the idea is this is like Uzo, this staff, the Igbo, and then inside it's a horn sort of, just like what I showed in the concept. It's a horn sort of, and inside the horn is usually ugly, but the music and its words are usually very valuable. So I just try to decompose and break the horn into two, and have my museum inside it. So it's looking rough on the outside, but we have something beautiful inside. So that was the concept. That was what gave birth to this. Okay, yeah. So the spaces and the openings represent our heritage. It's looking like it's collapsed, but there is still hope. So that was the concept. That was what I had in mind while creating this. So this is the top view. I think we understand it better now. So in between, in the middle there, we have an opening there. So that's where we are supposed to have the tent is there. It should be there for our outdoor eating, restaurants. And then we have our small huts by the side for relaxation. And the building you see in front is in CBD. That's our admin. That's the admin. And then we have at the far end we have the guest suite. So it's at the far end. Now this staff, I try to play around with the staff, just to lead the guide guests or visitors, coming for the first time. Okay. So this is another view from the top. We have our guests rooms behind. So this captured the concept I was trying to, we have the museum, the restaurant in the middle, and the hall at the end. So zoning is sort of, zoning this part off, so people can might not necessarily want to lodge, but want to use other facilities. So they just, their activity terminates here and not behind, and still appreciating the beauty of Igbo architecture. Yeah. And lastly, this, I love this view so much. I feel it captures the whole thing. And then basically I wanted the images to be self-explanatory, and I hope it did. So we have the core of the, if you look at this carefully, it's a horn, sort of, notice it's the horn. So I divided it into two and there is a building in between it. So yeah, basically that's it. I think that's all for now. Yeah, I'm really happy to be on this platform, honestly. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And all the professors, I'm really grateful. Thanks a lot.